At first, we're gonna start with the tutorial where I, Vinicius, had actually the biggest stakeholder here. This cutscene that we are actually seeing here, it was actually a nightmare because the amount of multiple images that we actually had to pinpoint its specific transform to actually make it work, and with limited access and assets was actually a problem. But in the end, I would say that the idea of actually passing the story as a feeling, as characters that exist in the universe, and required the whole idea of the tutorial would pass through dialogues and make the player understand exactly what is happening. Right here, we see how we solve one of those problems. First one was how to guide the player in a way that the player would understand what it was happening without actually properly looking to the radar. So we created the quest box as a way to actually solve those problems, and the cutscenes as a whole way to actually guide the players where should they go. The idea here right now is to extra introduce a button as a way to actually convey to the player that all the buttons are actually used, that were properly seen into the layout, into the tutorial, and how we as designers expect the players to actually deal with the controllers. Right now we made an increase in difficulty to make the whole idea of the tutorial more streamlined in what kind of mindset we are setting for the players. So this boss, Pedal Boy as we like to call, is basically a kind of a mini challenge in the middle of the gameplay. And as you can see, the tutorial, you have unlimited cash basically to actually offer a player a safe place. This place right now is where we try to introduce our most weird and difficult boss for players to understand, Scaly Boy, because as it's basically invulnerable and all its mechanics is basically destroying crystals to actually damage him. It was actually really confusing for players to actually how to deduce what they should do and how they should aim their possibilities, so it became a very frustrating ability. So it was chosen for the tutorial specifically as a way to guideline for a more specific boss that would actually require more for the player, for more understanding of what they were actually doing, without actually offering him no actual way of discovering by itself, right? We try to make it highlights into the dialogue, and in order to basically convey the specific guidelines that we were aiming. And the whole point of the tutorial in the end became a way to actually connect directly to the endless mode. That's why the transition happened so quickly. The whole point is that after the tutorial, action doesn't stop. You're thrown up in this universe, and you have to actually solve your own problems and resolve all the situations that you actually have to deal with it. That's basically shooting different enemies that have different mechanics. This has been Neon Collapse.